Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to unpack the Servas Whitepaper 2026 and really focus in on how the organization plans to revitalize its global peace mission. Servas has this incredible history dating all the way back to 1949, built firmly on the ideals of hospitality and peace building. But like so many legacy organizations, it's currently at a major crossroads. We're going to explore a bold new roadmap designed to transform Servas from a state of structural stagnation into a dynamic, youth-inclusive peace movement. Okay, here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the demographic crisis, unpack the proposed hybrid membership model, look at what exactly is changing, highlight the massive advantages of this new system, and finally, explore how all of this preserves the organization's core values. Let's get right into it. Section 1, the demographic crisis facing Servas. We've got to start with some hard numbers here, and wow, the demographic reality is pretty startling. A massive 60% of Servas members are over the age of 60. Actually, folks over 70 make up the largest single segment overall. On the flip side, young adults between 18 and 40, they account for just 15%. So this isn't just a minor statistical quirk, right? It's a real existential risk. Without a sustained influx of younger generations, this incredible peace mission literally cannot be passed forward. And the trajectory gets even more concerning when we look at the future projections. If the current sub 1% growth rate and aging trends just continue without any intervention, the network is projected to shrink to fewer than 10,000 active hosts by 2031. For a global network, that number is staggeringly low. It's a massive red flag that the current setup, which relies really heavily on a passive hosting model, just isn't clicking with how younger generations want to engage today. Think of the current network like a drying pond. The cost of just sitting back and doing nothing is absolutely enormous. Maintaining the status quo is basically like relying on one single failing water source, in this case, traditional chapter membership fees and an aging demographic. If Servas doesn't open up some new channels, this vibrant community and all its resources are simply going to evaporate. So, how do we fix this? That brings us to Section 2, the solution, the hybrid membership model. All right, let's look at this new ecosystem. The hybrid model is really clever because it doesn't destroy the old national chapter system. Those are represented by the oaks. Instead, it adds entirely new channels to the mix. It introduces owls, which are direct individual members who actually get voting rights. Then you have sunflowers, representing aligned NGOs and university partners, and finally roses for groups that might not have formal legal status. It's a total game changer that completely democratizes the network. Now, why does this matter so much? Well, it essentially shifts Servas from being seen as just a passive, cheap housing program into a highly active, conscious peace movement. We're moving away from a closed club feel where decisions are made by just a few people toward a direct democracy where individuals and partner organizations actually have a voice and a real purpose. Section 3. What are the changes in the new system? The white paper outlines some pretty major operational changes to make all this happen. First up, launching Servas Agora. This is a digital platform for global dialogue, making sure geographic barriers don't shut youth out of the conversation. Second, they're implementing a new operational rule called Servas Worldwide Motion 15. This is super cool because any 5 members can team up to submit grassroots motions, completely bypassing traditional bureaucratic bottlenecks. And third, establishing powerful new connections with universities. Let's zoom in on that university connection, specifically the Validation Anchor Protocol. This is a true game changer. By designating trusted university professors as official service interviewers for their own students, the whole process of joining becomes so much more streamlined and trustworthy. It literally transforms Servas from a simple travel app into a prestigious global network integrated directly with university campuses. Talk about perfectly positioning the organization to attract that youth demographic it desperately needs. Moving right along to Section 4, key advantages of the hybrid model. The advantages here are just massive and multifaceted. Financially, it diversifies revenue away from just relying on chapter fees by bringing in direct individual dues and NGO contributions. Democratically, it hands voting rights directly to individuals. Demographically, it builds this incredible pipeline to universities, setting a really deliberate target to attract exactly 5,555 new Gen Z and Gen Alpha seekers by 2031. And strategically, by partnering with NGOs, our sunflowers, Servas massively boosts its eligibility for global grants by aligning deeply with the UN's Sustainable Development Goals for peace and education. Historically, the organization has relied really heavily on traditional member groups concentrated in very specific regions. And honestly, this geographic and demographic plateau is holding the network back. The financial and demographic diversification that this hybrid model brings isn't just a nice to have, it is absolutely vital to break out of this plateau and expand the movement's global footprint in a sustainable way. Finally, Section 5, preserving the original vision and values. A really common fear with any big structural change is losing the organization's soul. But what's fascinating here is that this evolution is actually a return to the organization's roots. Specifically, it brings everything right back to founder Bob Lutweiler's original 1949 manifesto, a Servas vision. The hybrid model, along with the newly proposed Peace Builders program, directly revives his original concept of a work-study travel system. Because remember, Servas was never meant to just be about budget travel. It was about serious study, community service, and active engagement. Take Lutweiler's profound words, "My temple was the world, my fellow parishioners, the human family." That quote perfectly reminds us of the true ethos of Servas. It was always meant to be an active community of global citizens. The white paper ensures that as the structure modernizes, it stays perfectly aligned with this foundational spirit of personal contact, moral autonomy, and shared global responsibility. So, how do we actually put these values into practice today? The answer lies in integrating the Alternatives to Violence Project, or AVP, directly into the new Peace Builders program. By doing this, Servos isn't just talking about peace, right? It's actively training its members to become certified peace educators. It gives them tangible, real-world conflict transformation skills that they can use in their everyday lives and while they travel. As we wrap up this explainer, the choice presented by the White Paper 2026 is crystal clear. The reserves are there, the technology is completely ready, but the window for proactive change, that's closing. Will Servas allow the pond to dry up by clinging to outdated structures, or will it open the channels to a whole new generation of peace builders? For anyone who deeply cares about global peace and authentic connection, this hybrid model offers an incredibly powerful, values-driven path forward. Thanks so much for joining me to explore this fascinating roadmap.